Okay, here we are. It looks like we're on Facebook. Hi, Michelle.
Hey there, how are you today?
I'm doing pretty well, surprisingly. Welcome to My Food, My Story, number 6, which is about enjoying. So welcome here to number 6 of 6. Now, I have to tell you that even as I realized we made it all the way to number 6, I have to confess that at the beginning, I wasn't exactly sure that I would make it. It was me that I figured the 6 would unfold, but I don't know. What about me? I'm Sandra Allen Lovelace, and I have been offering information, affirmation, and inspiration to women for more than 50 years. Well, first as a teacher, then as a speaker and an author, and most recently as a coach. A coach. I know a lot of people say, all right, I hear that word all the time, but what does it mean? From my perspective, it compares really well to the world of sports, where it's important for a coach to actually commit to each player on their team, to take into account what their strengths are, certainly to use them for the benefit of the team and the sport, but also to understand their weaknesses so that they can help them build that up and grow them, really to take into account this particular player, this individual, where they want to go, where they want to be in their own life. And actually, another part of a coach's responsibility is to know what's going out there on the field, what the atmosphere is like, what skills are needed, not only as an individual, but also as a member of the team in order to build the team into be winners. Yes, that's, So, and as you know, when a team wins, also each player, each individual wins. So that's what a coach does. I don't know. What do you think about that, Michelle? You've probably heard
that's a great illustration. That's a wonderful illustration. I like it.
Okay, good. So do you have any thoughts for today? I mean, it is 6 of 6, so we're closing out this series. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
I'm just excited to see how you tie it all up in a nice bow with enjoying. I'm excited about the title.
Okay, good. Great. Thank you so much for being here. I've invited Michelle to join us because it adds a little bit of a dynamic to the material, I think, to have something more like a conversation literally before us on the screen. At least I enjoy it. Thanks for coming, Michelle. Okay, good. So let's go back to what I was saying at the very beginning. We made it. And really, it's not just speaking to a wide audience. Most of you, likely, I don't know. But really, we made it. We're here. And even if you're listening in a recorded version, you made it, you survived. We're here regardless of what things happened in our childhood, like me, maybe neglect and surrounded with violence and all kinds of things, or maybe other things that are particular to your life. Maybe we could consider the kinds of relationships as we've grown that have been part of our life, that have been, we'll say, tricky, that have carried an impact with them that hasn't been necessarily pleasant. Also, other kinds of events, maybe deaths or tragic incidents of one kind or another that have come in and out of our lives. And even the smaller things that have been consistent, that have really worn on us. We're here and we've survived. We've made it. I just want to tell you that as surely as God granted this whole survival mechanism at the creation, as surely as he did that, now let me remind you what I mean. It's the design that we human beings carry. This design that when overwhelm comes into our life, there's an automatic shift. And I'll just remind you again with my little balance dial here. So this was what it was like in the garden, walking, Adam and Eve walking in the cool of the day in fellowship with God, peace. Then the fall happened, stress to say the least. And this is where Adam and Eve were already, it was part of their design too, came right into us from there, that their body shifted. They weren't thinking clearly anymore. Stress level was there. The whole fight or flight reaction happened, and it's physical as well as emotional, etc. And they ran and hid, which made no sense. They tried to hide from God. And then they blamed each other. By then, they were probably up here in survival mode where they were frozen and really fawning. Well, what's the right thing to say here? And they had nobody else to look at, but Adam complained and then Eve complained. So let's throw some blame around here all over the place. So really, these things were there because God knew, Jesus knew when he created people that the fall was coming and survival would be necessary. And so these things were built into us as human beings. Now, they're actual, as Bessel van der Kolk mentions in his book, I'm not sure I've shared this with you before, but the title of his book is The Body Keeps the Score. And right away at the beginning, he points out that this very thing that happens, it's a change in the brain. It is physiological, it's biological. And my first exposure to that was, great, if my brain was changed by all that stuff, I guess I have no hope. But the reality is that this plasticity that Jesus built into our brains is still there. As surely as God provided for survival, he also provided for recovery, for healing. And that plasticity that Jesus put in there in the brain helps us survive, but move into the recovery phase. It promotes recovery and it works. Look, recovery, what does that mean? That's another word that's thrown around a lot these days. For me, the term recovery means finding, searching, hunting, and finding. Recovery. You first have to hunt and find. Or you might say, it's a common phrase, search and rescue. That would be the kind of recovery that Jesus is in. That's his style. And it relates directly to Ephesians 2:10. That's our design. We are God's masterpiece, created in Christ Jesus in advance with now my brain is gone. We're created with important things to do, created in advance for us. Ephesians 2:10. There's the design. That's the kernel. That's the core. That's what happens. Everything else after that is overload. It's an overlay that becomes too much and it's overwhelmed. And so the recovery and healing is important. A lot of us really think that automatic thing becomes let me look at my notes. I've lost track. Yes, a lot of us seem to think, I'm glad I thought to look. A lot of us seem to think that when that happens, when we act out of character, that it's a sign that we're actually weak, that our faith is weak, that we have no willpower, that it's really a moral failure when the pressure comes and we act the way Adam and Eve did in the garden, or we snap at somebody, or we reprimand our children out of our anger in unhelpful ways, let's at least say that. Or that we're just plain stupid, or maybe even that we're so totally flawed that there's no hope for us. That's actually not the case. That's not the case. Remember that the shift that happens is automatic. And the plasticity that God works in there, that Jesus put in, and that God then works in our lives to straighten out, is the process of recovery and healing that Jesus provides the survival. Jesus also provides the peace of recovery and healing. So, Michelle, let me just ask you about that. You recognize the survival process. I just wonder if you have ever beat yourself up about that.
Yes, particularly with food and the struggle to not eat emotionally, to understand why all of a sudden I can feel really hungry, even though I shouldn't be hungry, or just have this like desire to eat. It's comforting, and it's all related to what I've been through. And, to just hear over and over again, well, you should just stop, or you should just lose weight. It's not that easy. It's not that easy.
Right.
And I beat myself up worse than the doctor or anyone else, but yeah, totally can relate.
Okay, good. Yeah, I have done that a lot too. I'm doing it a lot less these days. I think this is part of the information that's really helpful. And the affirmation that for the rest of you too, you're definitely not alone. You're not alone. The two of us and pretty much everybody is in the same ball of wax, same boat. So I just want everybody to understand also that this recovery journey, this healing process, is not a total effort thing. I appreciate your sharing what you just did, Michelle. And a lot of times that's what we think, that it turns out to be that I just have to stop doing this, or I just have to stop doing that. Well, look, the healing journey that I have been on, I can tell you for sure, it's not all about clawing and scraping for progress in every single little area. Yes, it's tricky. That's my little word for difficult. So it's tricky, and it can also be messy. That's really true. However, the neural pathways, the plasticity that Jesus built into our brains that relate to that ability to be able to shift out and just send all our energy to our limbs so that we can run away or fight, or so that we can actually shut down and kind of try to sort out whatever from what's going on around us, the fight or flight, the fawn or freeze dynamics, those things. That same plasticity is here for us to make changes in the neuro pathways, the electric currents, so to speak, in our brains. And that is exactly what happens. So some of those topics we do need to focus on and be aware of, and go inside and find out what's going on with our nervous system and work on those. Yes, that's true. And I have seen that happen. And one of the things I most in my life, but also in the lives of the women that I work with, and one of the exciting things that I like to share with my clients when they start moving forward in this, is to tell them that there are also automatic healing points where the neural pathways that have been maybe they look like ruts in my brain, that they are not as deep, they're more shallow. There's healing going on, there's awareness, there's understanding and healthy changes being made. And then up will spring a brand new neural pathway that I look around, I say, wait a minute. One of my early ones that I shared about was losing things. And if I didn't know where absolutely every item was in my household at any given moment, then it was my responsibility to find it and get it back where it belonged, et cetera, to the point that even though I live by myself, if I couldn't find something, I might start running around the house, dumping my purse over, just going crazy, trying to find a certain thing. And I couldn't have peace until that thing was found. It was a chronic issue. Well, I just want you to know that I misplaced my special little microfiber cloth for wiping my glasses that it lives in my purse. How could I misplace that? And I didn't even obsess over it. I went and found another one, and I thought, well, that's kind of interesting. From time to time, I thought about that. And then I was looking for my keys, which I sit in a certain spot in my purse. And I stuck my fingers in there. Bingo, there was that little microfiber, clean my glasses piece of fabric that was just in a different outside pocket where it belonged. And I marveled because I have seen gradual improvement, but this is the best that it's been so far. And so that's the kind of thing that can just happen automatically, Anyway, that's an encouragement. That's my illustration of a specific one that's very recent for me. But I really would like to train your attention at this entire series. As I was thinking about it last night, what would be a really good illustration? That one came to mind that I just shared, but really this whole series has been walking through that process. And if you haven't gone back to the first 5 sections, for sure, go back to number 1, because there I talked about what my life was like at the very beginning when all of this learning through my interactions with food began to take place, where my meals that people have seen on Facebook began to appear. And when I was back there in number 1, I was clearly a woman with pretty much low and maybe no self-worth. Now, let me take a minute to explain that term, because when I talk about self, I want to be really clear that I don't really want to base my worth on my perspective. For each of us, and really everybody that I interact with, we're all created actually in the image of God. And so that worth that I rely on is the worth, God worth. It's a sense of who God made me to be, the fact that he did make me in his image, and I have a unique design that he intends for me to enjoy, but also to flow into the purpose that he made me for. And so right there in number 1, that's where I was, really questioning my God worth. Everybody else is made in his image, but I'm not sure that I'm worth more than paper plates and little plastic bowls and just sit down and gobble some food because my body might not function if I don't. Not a great place to start. But along the way, God drew me in. He drew me in first at that spot because I could value the other people around me. And that made me really alert to what the issue was, that I too was made in his image. Then he taught me some more by showing me the world's impact, the things that were coming in. As I began to be aware of what was going on inside my body, this is really making me anxious, or that, what's going on inside here? Oh, I'm reacting to this other thing. And so the impact of the world became much clearer, probably because of what's been going on these last couple of years with the virus in particular. But even before that, I had stopped. I don't do anything with media. So I don't get the newspaper. I don't listen to the radio. As a matter of fact, I haven't had a television for 5 years. And even before that, there was minimal use. But ever since I've been off on my own, actually, we're coming up on 6 years, I've not had a television. I just have to keep those things. This is my circle of what affects me. And I have to be careful. So those things will stay out. And then he told me last May this whole idea of stepping back. So I let a lot of other things go and eventually came off social media altogether. He opened that view into my inner life and gave me this perspective about trauma, about survival, and really about the healing process through my own journey, but in a wider circle with other women. And so I began to understand directly in my body what this healing that Jesus, the peace that Jesus had for me through somatic work with my body, to be aware. He also continues even now to teach me more, to show me, and also to take me. And that's one of my favorite sayings that I say in my prayer life. Teach me, please, Lord, teach me what I need to know. Show me how I need to grow, and take me where I need to go. And that's really been part of this idea of practicing the pause, where first of all, he directed me to step back, but then I have come to understand how much practicing the pause needs to be a lifelong pattern for me, to not answer questions quickly and not to jump into certain opportunities, but to really pause and step back and check with my insides to see how that's going to impact me, and is it something that I want to step into. Now, he continues to draw me closer, and he continues to deepen my focus into the present. And that was the session that I talked about, the tip about multitasking not necessarily being the best gift that we women carry. So to really focus on the present, in particular in the one I did, the video I did, I believe it was the last time, about being in the present when I'm preparing meals, by setting other things aside and just focusing there, opened up a whole new world of being in God's presence with a capital P. And that's where the peace exists. That's where Jesus is best able to bring it to me fully, all the way in. So these days, when I come to the meal table, it's not just paper plates, it's not just plastic buckets, and it's not just quick, get something in there so that I can carry on and keep this body moving, but rather I come to the table literally with peace. There's beauty. I'm a very visual person, so there's beauty. My candle is there for me, but also peace in my mind and in my body and in my spirit, with that beauty, with health, healthy food, not 100%. Don't think I'm there yet. With calm and taking deep breaths and actually sitting. My meals are an opportunity to visit with God these days and check what's going on the inside. It's dramatically different from where I was back at the beginning. There's been actually an overall shift, and even recently I've come to understand that I have a sense, I'll say it this way, that I'm actually allergic to drama. So things in my life that are wanting to draw me in that direction, I will pause again, put on the side, and how can I approach that to minimize the amount of drama and so on that is going to come out of it. I get to choose. And to move away from things, to process them. And my own process is not perfected or anything, that I'm still working it out, but to clear as much out as I possibly can, and to approach those things that have possible drama impact on them, to make decisions about how to go about that. Now, when I get to that place, what I really want to do now is I want to offer you today's tip. It's time for the tip for the day. And the tip is that worship is the answer. Mm. Worship is the answer. Now, again, this is another word to talk about what's the meaning of that. I think that a lot of times, even believers, I say, oh, I'm worshiping God. Well, what are we talking about? Well, to offer him the respect that he deserves, to offer him the honor that he deserves, to approach him, to revere God and have a sense of awe and humility before him. But there's the key. The idea is to be with him, time with God. And that's what illustrates for me, or describes for me, worship, to really be able to close out everything else and be in his presence. So that's my tip for today. Now, I want to, oh dear, I lost, the paper dropped. Hold on. Yeah, I saw it go, but I didn't know what it was. in that regard, what I really want to do is share a couple of scriptures that have come actually to me on an extremely deep level. And the first one is from Psalm 46. It's verses 10 and 11. It's, be still and know that I am God, coming into his presence, stilling everything else. And the New American Standard Bible says, stop striving. Stop striving. And know, not just like, yeah, okay, you're God, you made the world, I get it. But you sent Jesus, I get it. Really, to know that I am God. I will be exalted among the nations. I will be. I will be exalted in the earth. The Lord Almighty is with us. The God of Jacob is our fortress. To really be able to shut down, which I've learned now how to do that. Doesn't happen instantaneously, and sometimes it's a trickier task than not. But to really shut down all the other things and just be there. And so as I've been growing in that whole process, I want to share another scripture with you, because more and more I'm starting to understand Galatians chapter 2, verse 20. I'm going to read it from the Amplified. I'm reading it because I don't use the Amplified Bible very often, but it's a richness in here that I want to offer to you. So, I have been crucified with Christ. That is, in him I have shared his crucifixion. So it is no longer I who live, but Christ lives in me. There's Holy Spirit, right? The life I now live in the body, I live by faith, by adhering to, relying on, and completely trusting in the Son of God. That trust factor has become so important to me. In the Son of God who loved me and gave himself up for me. That's Galatians 2:20. And so Holy Spirit's presence and the reality that he's Christ's ambassador and he is the one communicating up and down. I call him my two-way baby monitor. Trusting in that relationship with God the Father through Christ the Son by Holy Spirit has been really the process of peace that I'm enjoying more and more these days. So that's the tip. And here's my question. What about you? What about you? What avenue is God using in your life to speak to you, to draw you apart, to show you by illustration, as clearly as he's been doing with me, as I've showed you over these 6 sessions, that he wants to be that close to you. He wants you in a unique way to come into his presence. And so he's going to speak to you in that, whether it's, let's see, maybe a hobby that you have, or maybe through exercise, or maybe your journey has some other interest that will draw you closer. Travel, that's one I like to travel. He speaks to me there too. But slow down, stop that merry-go-round so you can at least let your vision clear, maybe even stop it altogether if he calls you, and be in the present, be in his presence to enjoy his peace. Healing and recovery from all the stuff is possible through Christ.
Yes.
So that's my tip for today. Michelle, I know you don't know these things ahead of time. So what are you thinking now?
This week and some of last week, I wake up every morning, and when I get in the shower, I click on Pandora, and whatever plays. Like, I just like to listen to Pandora. But and it's a Christian station that I listen to. But the song that has played repeatedly is "This Is How I Fight My Battles." And so when you were talking about worship, I was just thinking about how that special song has set the tone for some of the days these past few weeks. week or so, and how important that is. And so to hear you like reiterate that and say, take that pause, take that time to be in his presence, and worship is the answer when we're struggling. And I know when I worked with you some with the somatics and stuff, being in front of the pantry and pausing and saying, yes, I know I'm dying to eat something right now, but am I hungry? And checking in with myself and making sure that I'm listening to my body and paying attention. And the pause is so important, because if we go too fast and we don't slow down and there's too much coming in, it's impossible. Like my time with him is very much when I'm in the shower, just because it's quiet. That's my space. And then anytime I'm in nature is another, like if I take a walk on the trails or just outside, fresh air makes a huge difference. Alone, quiet.
Yeah.
Then I can get my mind quiet. Yeah.
Yes, that's part of figuring all that out. How can we get ourselves, and when and where and so on, to that place where we can be still, we can stop striving and know him. Thanks so much for sharing that. I appreciate that. I'm glad God's been using what we've been going through together here for that benefit for you. So now, as we're closing out this series, I just want to say, what's next? Or maybe you're asking what's next. Just to let you know, you can go to YouTube. I'm going to put these up on YouTube soon, but there are other things there. My other videos, playlist about trauma, about transformation, you can find those there. And if you subscribe, my YouTube channel is Sandra Allen Lovelace. You can subscribe there, and when I put these up, you'll be alerted. But also, as I do other material, I'm sure the Lord's got some more plans for me. Also, I'm available for one-on-one coaching, and I offer a free 20-minute consultation. So you can go and just private message me. You can email me at sandraallenlovelace@gmail.com and reach out. I'll be happy to spend some time with you to see where you are and where you'd like to be. Also, I am planning some small groups to come up to start up in the relatively near future. I've got some things I have to put in place. If that's something you'd be interested in, please make sure, again, you can drop me a little private message here, give me your email address, maybe your phone number too, so that I can reach out to you when it's time and make sure that you're aware when those groups are coming. But for sure, go to me on Facebook. This might be my personal profile, but at Sandra Allen Lovelace on Facebook, that's my business page. And announcements will be for sure coming over there. So that's a few things that you can work on next while I go and work on the things that I have to do to get there. Thanks so much again for being part of this series. For those of you that asked specific questions about my meal photos and why was I doing them and so on, I hope this has answered all the questions. Anything you have left, feel free to ask again. So, but my very last thing is to thank Michelle. Michelle, thanks for being willing to be here on time and help me with all of the technology so we could get it cleared out, and just being a great participant in this particular series about My Food, My Story. Thanks so much.
You are welcome. It's truly been a blessing. And I can testify that working with you is wonderful. It's been a huge blessing.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, we'll stop the live stream. Bye-bye.